Russia's Alpha Group, founded by the Soviet KGB, specializes in covert operations both domestically and internationally. They're like the government's secret weapon for dealing with big threats. They can reach any level of brutality to execute high-risk missions. The FBI's HRT, on the other hand, is mostly focused on stuff happening inside the US. They're the guys you call when there's a hostage situation or a big threat. Both units are super skilled and ready for anything, but they've got different training pipelines, doctrine, and tactics. Today, we'll discuss the differences between these elite units and try to determine which unit is more effective. Alpha Group is part spy, part counter-insurgency, and part general-purpose commando squad. This unit is under the command of Russia's Federal Security Service, or FSB. With the 1980 Moscow Olympics nearing, the Soviet government was anxious about a repeat of the 1972 Munich incident. They tasked the KGB, who created Alpha, to handle such threats. Originally known as A, it was the media that started calling it Alpha. The name caught on and was eventually made official. The unit first made headlines when they stormed the presidential palace in Kabul during the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. In the 80s and 90s, they were all over the news, taking down rebels and kidnappers. Another key mission was to protect Soviet leaders from enemy during crisis of war. Alpha aren't soldiers, but they're not cops either. In Russia, the FSB is independent of police, so the unit has its own set of ranks and badges. Currently, around 250 people serve in this formidable unit, not including the 3 small regional contingents. On the other hand, the FBI oversees stopping domestic threats in the US. The HRT was set up in response to changing security threats, especially after the 1972 Olympics incident. Inspired by Delta Force, it focuses on hostage rescues and handling high-risk situations within the borders of the United States. Sometimes called Domestic Delta, they are renowned for their motto, to save lives. They utilize the tactics of many U.S. Special Operations training alongside groups such as Delta Force and Navy SEALs. As of 2020, the HRT has around 149 full-time members and runs 3 main teams. Alpha Group is divided into several departments, each with its own area of focus. It falls under the FSB's Special Purpose Center, with 5 departments in Directorate A and 4 in Directorate B. Each department consists of smaller assault teams. Each team focuses on specific missions like hostage rescues or covert operations. There's also a unit specifically for VIP protection. The whole group is led by a general. On the other hand, HRT is part of the Tactical Support Branch of the FBI's Critical Incident Response Group, CIRG. They are organized into 3 tactical units, red, blue, and gold, with 1 team dedicated to maritime operations. These teams share many similarities. Their organization into distinct units helps ensure constant readiness, specialization, and efficient operational rotations. Each of these tactical units is made up of an assault team and a sniper observation team, and they rotate through 60-day cycles of operations, training, and support. Supporting the tactical units is the Tactical Helicopter Unit, which operates a fleet of helicopters. The unit is further supported by logistics, intelligence, communications, and a command element to ensure seamless operations. Alpha Group handles domestic and international covert operations and paramilitary missions. The unit has been heavily involved in conflicts like the war in Chechnya and has taken part in high-profile hostage rescues, which drew major public and global attention. Their motto says it all: win and come back. The unit specializes in fighting, capturing, or neutralizing insurgents and tackling complex hostage situations, including hijacked planes, buses, and trains. They also have a detachment for VIP protection. It has been deployed in Afghanistan, the Middle East, and in various hostage crises involving militants. In contrast, the HRT's primary role is limited to high-risk threats at domestic levels. They handle tasks like apprehending barricaded suspects, conducting helicopter rescues, mobile assaults, high-risk raids, searches, arrests, manhunts, and protecting the FBI personnel overseas. The HRT might deploy snipers or provide security for the VIPs. They support missions overseas and work with Joint Task Force. They've helped with hurricanes, surveys, and big events like the Olympics, presidential inaugurations, and political conventions. The unit can be deployed anywhere in the US within 4 hours. They can jump out of helicopters with ropes. They can also do things like parachute from very high altitudes. They're really good at ground tactics, water operations, and flying. The HRT operators are really good at maritime and aviation operations as well. Getting into Alpha is no easy task. Only the best candidates, typically aged 22 to 27, make it through the tough selection process. Regardless of background, whether police or special forces, all candidates start the selection process on equal footing. A university degree, physical and mental fitness, and strong moral qualities are essential. The selection process takes over a year, with a board decision made on who gets in. Once chosen, recruits go through 3 years of intensive training, covering infantry tactics, parachuting, diving, sniper skills, CQB shooting, martial arts, and foreign languages. On the other hand, the HRT operators are selected during a 2-week selection process that includes long-distance runs, forced marches, obstacle courses, and other tests of physical and mental stamina. Throughout the entire process, candidates are evaluated on their ability to think under pressure and to perform while physically exhausted. After a 6-month initial training period, known as New Operator Training School, or NOTS, they are sent to the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia. The selection process is near mirror images of the Delta Force selection and training courses, with some minor adjustments for mission differences. Experienced HRT operators are sent to the U.S. Marine Corps Scout Sniper course. Maritime operators are sent to the U.S. Navy BUDS at Naval Amphibious Base, California. When not deployed, HRT operators train full-time, dedicating hours daily to physical and tactical skills. Weekly, they practice specialized techniques like fast roping, breaching, and maritime ops. They rotate through 120-day cycles of training, operations, and support, often training with elite U.S. military units. So let's talk about the weapons Alpha guys use. Their go-to rifle is the AK-105, which is like a shorter and lighter version of the classic AK-47. They've also got newer rifles like the AK-12 and AK-12SP. And if they need to be super quiet, they use suppressed rifles like the AS-Val. For handguns, they mostly use a Russian-made version of the Glock. They've got a mix of machine guns, sniper rifles, and submachine guns. For longer range engagements, they've got the classic Dragunov SVD-63, but they've also been using newer rifles. And let's not forget about the knives. Many Alphas buy their own knives. When it comes to gear, they've got everything from helmets and body armor to tackle the situation. And they drive a bunch of different vehicles, including the Tiger M, which is like a Russian version of the Humvee. Similarity, HRT is also armed with a diverse range of firearms and equipment. For close quarters combat, they rely on submachine guns like the MP5, Glock 17 handgun. Assault rifles like the HK416 are used for medium range engagements. Shotguns are used for breaching doors and close quarter combat. For suppressing fire and heavy firepower, these operators are armed with machine guns like M249 and M240, sniper rifles including the H&K MSG-90, Remington Model 700, and Barrett M82 provide precision, long-range capabilities. Grenade launchers are employed for crowd control and breaching purposes. To enhance mobility and tactical flexibility, the HRT utilizes Polaris MRZR all-terrain vehicles. Additionally, the team has access to a variety of helicopters, including UH-60 Blackhawk, for rapid deployment and aerial support. Both Alpha Group and HRT were created in the aftermath of the 1972 Munich Olympics hostage crisis. The Alpha Group was used by the Russian government to end several mass hostage crises in the 90s and early 2000s. However, the Alpha Group is definitely more military-orientated, even though it's technically not part of the Russian armed forces. It has participated in several wars outside of Russia. The Alpha operators reportedly have a role in covert operation overseas, which would not be a role for HRT, as that would be handled more by covert military or paramilitary units, including those controlled by the CIA. But Alphas have certainly been used for domestic law enforcement purposes, such as a hostage rescue operation in the 90s and early 2000s. This is where They have overlapping in duties with the HRT, which is entirely a law enforcement agency, although their training is on par with military special operation forces in several ways. However, there are strict rules in terms of when they can be deployed, legal regulations, accountability, and so forth. Share your thoughts on which unit you think is more lethal in the comments below.